Hello and welcome to Drunk on Tea. In this video, I'll explain why every wargamer needs this set of walls and fences for their games, no matter what wargame you play. The walls are great for your games of Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, The Old World, even Middle-earth, Kill Team and non-GW games like Bolt Action. Scenery is an often overlooked part of wargaming, but a great looking table really adds to the immersion of the game and helps tell the story about what you're fighting over. It's a great way to get away from every 40k game being fought in a ruined city or old world fight over a bit of flat generic land. Every tabletop game can have a war fought over an old ruined village or farmland. These scenery pieces will look great in games from fantasy to modern times and into the far future of the 41st millennium. I use these fences and walls to represent the Shire, the edges of a village in one of the mortal realms, or even a war-torn agri world in 40k. To some people it may seem odd to use fantasy scenery in a sci-fi setting, but even with all the technology of the Imperium of Mankind, a stone wall or wooden fence is still a great bit of scenery. They will fit into any muddy battlefield map, and if you go retro and have goblin green bases, these scenery bits will really add immersion to your games. Scale isn't even a huge issue, the smaller Middle-earth miniatures still look great next to them, and it especially adds to the scaling of making hobbits look small in comparison to men. With just a few additional elements such as trees, hedges, hills, and if you're playing 40k, a few containers or AdMech scenery, you can quickly and easily have a battlefield that can be used for endless games. The other great thing about this scenery is it can be painted up really quickly and easily, meaning in just a few hours you can go from a box of plastic to an entire table's worth of scenery and ready to play. By priming everything black, this gives us a nice smooth base coat for the rest of our colours to work from. First of all, I'm coming in with Dryad bark and painting the fence and the trees with this. It will take a couple of layers to build up to solid cover all over the wooden areas. Once these are painted, with some Nuln oil, I'm giving them an all-over shade. This is also an ideal place to use a homemade shade to save using all of your Nuln oil. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like a video on how to make a homemade shade paint. And once the shade has dried, it's added definition to the scenery. So I'm coming in with Baneblade Brown and applying this as a dry brush all over. You can be quite heavy with this, it will brighten up the wood and pick out all of the details of grain. After the dry brush has picked out the details, I'm coming in with another dry brush, this time Rawk Flesh. You want to be much lighter with this one so it just catches the very edges and most raised details on the scenery. And with that dry brush, the fences are ready for the battlefield. Next up, it's time to paint the walls. If you're enjoying the video, please press like. If you want more videos, press the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. If you would like to support the channel and become a member, please press the join button down below. For painting wall and stone, I start with a base coat of Mechanica Standard Grey in a couple of layers building up to a solid coat all over. Once the base coat is applied, I'm shading with Nuln oil or a homemade wash, making sure this sinks into all of the recesses to add some definition. After the shade has dried, I'm coming in with some Dawnstone and applying a dry brush all over. This can be a heavy dry brush, like an overbrush, but you want to leave the darker colours in the recesses. After the Dawnstone has picked out the flat and raised surfaces, I'm applying another dry brush, this time with Celestra Grey. I'm being much lighter with this dry brush, trying to just catch the edges of the details on the tops of the stones. And now there's only one more dry brush to apply, and that's with Corax White. For this dry brush, I'm just brushing from the top down. This will catch only the upwards facing surfaces and give the impression of light coming from above and adding a great highlight effect. And after the dry brushing, the scenery is ready for the table, or you can add a few more details and weathering to some of the items to add life. So with some Athonian camo shade, I'm applying some small spots over the rocks and bits of wood. This will give just a tiny hint of these areas going a bit green and give the impression that they've been out under the elements for a long time. There's one more bit of weathering I'm going to add to the stones. By mixing some PVA glue with flock, I still have loads of this left from the days of Goblin Green bases. I'm mixing the two together till I get a goopy paste. Then with an old ruined brush, I'm adding some spots all over the stones. This will give the impression of moss growing. Don't go overboard with this, but add some small spots of moss to areas on the stones, and it will really add interest to your scenery and help tell a story. And that's how you quickly and easily paint up this scenery kit, ready to add life to your table. This set will allow you to easily make hundreds of interesting areas to play over and really help with the storytelling for your games. So thank you very much for watching. In the comments down below, please let me know what's your favourite kind of battlefield to fight over. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and a very special thank you to our Tea Lover channel member Jenkins, and happy painting!